I'm here with DeWitt Gilmore, also known as Relentless Aaron. How are you doing today?
That's fine. That's fine. Yep. Everybody calls me Relentless. It's I think more people know me as Relentless than DeWitt because of my fiction writing. I've got close to 100 books now. I'm one of the original G Unit authors under 50 Cent. And of course the memoir. So the memoir was important for me to hey babe, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm sorry. Right. I'm doing interview number 2 today. Okay. So that's so you can understand the name situation. So be that as it may.
You have this memoir, The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me. And it's based on like your experience in the 1990s hip-hop scene, which you were a prominent figure. Can you talk about like what you did in like that era?
So I was prominent in the New York tri-state area. I wasn't on any major global stages at that time. I'm from Mount Vernon, New York. I came into this
Money earned in Mount Vernon. That's
yeah. I went to school with the likes of Albie Shore, Kyle West, who's a producer, Eddie F, Heavy D, Eddie. In fact, as I grew on up in my life and age 18 and 19, I started promoting concerts. And Eddie was my DJ before Heavy D and the Boys. That was like 80, I want to say in the early 80s. And so my coming into the entertainment industry started around I want to say I went to the Marine Corps early. I left high school and went to the Marine Corps. I left the Marine Corps early. I got an honorable discharge. I was in there for less than 2 years, and I went to college. But during college at nighttime, I would go into the city and I would explore like the nightclub scene. So I ended up going into places like Studio 54 and I was trying to do anything I could to get in entertainment back in those days. So things like singing, things like acting. So I can remember going to auditions. I can remember singing at piano bars. I was that kind of person back in the day. I can remember hanging out in front of the Fame School for the Performing Arts. A little creepy, but that's also in the book, by the way, my creeping. Anyway, there's a building, and this is all in the book, but there's a building in Mount Vernon known as the RKO Theater. It was a big building that was deserted and condemned. And I saw it as a concert theater. Concerts. I just knew that this was going to be a concert. I imagined that. And I got access to the building and I started bringing in contractors and I was learning my way. I was only 18 years old. I was learning my way into big business. Anyway, this one investor answered one of my ads and he came to see the building and he said, man, this is a $20 million project here. Why don't you just rent a place and book artists and do it that way? Why are you trying to own a building? Well, that changed everything for me, and I started looking for what to do next. And so I found the Memorial Stadium in Mount Vernon. I bought that for $150 a stadium, and I again doing more research, finding artists. Of course, I wanted Lionel Richie. He was the hit at the time, but I couldn't afford that. They wanted like 25 grand or more for him to perform. And so I ended up going in using rappers. Hip hop was the least expensive entertainment that you could probably get cheaper. Actually, you could probably find you a magician, right? But rappers are the least expensive entertainers that I could get. And so found myself looking at the back of the record album and found Rush Productions on the back of one. And I ended up downtown in Russell Simmons' office, which is smaller than the room I'm in right now.
Right.
And I'm doing business with Russell. And so I ended up booking Run DMC, the Fat Boys, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde as my very first concert. Eddie F was my DJ. And we had a big old concert in Memorial Stadium. They brought a flatbed truck out to the middle of the stadium, no stage. That was our stage and sound system. And we had, and this is on YouTube. You could actually look up Memorial Stadium, Mount Vernon, Relentless Aaron, and Russell Simmons, and you'll see pieces of the concert. So there were a lot of people in the stands. And but that also, I said Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde were on that show, and Dr. Jekyll is Andre Harrell, and Andre Harrell and I became friends after that, and we hung out. We talked business. I had him on some other shows, and this was the life I was in at that early on. Well, Andre, years later, Andre introduces me to Puff at my friend's nightclub called Bentley's in New York City. And although Puffy claims he lives in Mount Vernon or Harlem, depending on how the wind blows, and I knew of him, he wasn't super popular yet. And so Andre introduced me to him, and we started having conversations. And one time I'm on the phone with him, I asked him to be on my basketball team, that I was going to do a celebrity basketball game. And he agreed. And so we set it up. It was for a Friday night Friday night. Let me see here. Okay. So the exact day was it was 1991. It was my basketball game was scheduled for December 27th, and Puff no-showed me. He was supposed to play on my team against the radio station. He no-showed me, and when I left out and we had a game, but there was no audience. There was hardly anybody. Well, we left the gym, and I turned on Kiss FM, and he's on the radio with Wendy Williams promoting his basketball game, right, which was set up for the next day. So I'm like, okay, I felt slighted, like that was my idea. I really did feel that way, because of the elements. And not to say that he didn't have celebrity basketball games. I don't think he had a celebrity basketball game before that. Yeah. No, we didn't have one after. But right. So I was hot. I wasn't hot like F him, but I could see, but because mine was a charity again. I wasn't planning on making any money from it, but it was like I put my effort into it. I had the radio station backing me. They were doing ads, but here he was on the same station promoting with Wendy Williams, blasting all these names out, all these hip hoppers that were supposed to be there, special invited guests. You know how they do. Put 100 people.
Look at that though, like as God's protection though, because we know what happened the next day. The City College, New York stampede, 8 people end up dead.
9 people. Hold on. 9 people died. 29 injured.
Wow.
And so you're right. You're right, because if we aligned even deeper, and I said, Puff, why not we promote both, cross promote, so this way we'll make sure both events are successful. But promoters don't think that. They're like we want it all. And so you're right. I was probably saved from being at that event, because I was recognized by other promoters, other nightclubs, I walked into any event that took place at that time, because I got that respect. I was 19 years old promoting concerts, man, killing it as the youngest promoter in my area in the New York, New Jersey tri-state region. People ain't doing concerts at that age.
Yeah, yeah.
I had big, there are big concert promoters at the time. Jerry Roebuck, Al Heyman, and Sun Song Productions. They did this Budweiser Superfest. They were big, huge promoters. But me, I was young and hungry, and I was, doing other types of things. So anyway, make a long story short, that night, then of course, yes, the next day the CCNY tragedy took place, and but it was that night I was in my dad owned a strip club called Gilmore's, and in the club in the VIP area, drinking, carrying on, talking shit, and basically venting, talking karma. Like, for me, in my state of mind was like, even if I was wrong, man, karma has a way of, getting back to people. Like you said, it saved me, but who knows if he would have followed through, and if he said to me, look, I want to do a game the day after, would you help me? My help might have saved people, because I might have been the one to say we need more police security. Who knows? But life rolls the dice and it says, this, you got snake eyes. That's just what it is. I'm not even mad about what happened. But what happened once I started venting that night, the next morning I got a wake-up phone call from Curtis Sliwa. So Curtis Sliwa had a radio show on ABC News called Curtis and Lisa in the Morning. And ABC News is a huge network. But it's also white radio. It's popular white radio. And so ABC is still strong network. So, but honestly, Curtis's show was very powerful. And he called me early in the morning. I don't know how he got my number. I don't know how, but he called me early. He woke me up. And they're asking me questions, because guess what? Puffy disappeared. He wasn't trying to be found. He disappeared. Right. They were looking for him because his name was on everything. And they were asking me questions like, who's this Puff Daddy? And like, what, asking me questions like, well, what kind of event is this that all these people are coming? What's the big attraction? How would you do it? They were looking to me to be the thought leader, the theoretician. How they get these armchair talking heads every time something takes place. They need someone to talk to content. I'm not thinking that way, but that's what was happening. So they asking me questions, I'm answering, and that's what it is. I'm still a little hot at Puff, but I'm not attacking him. I'm not attacking him at all on the radio. Well, that turned into other media contacting me, like Good Morning America and the Today Show and all these other places. But the first people to come for me was the Richard Bey Show. They had a show called 9 Broadcast Plaza, and they sent a limousine. And I specifically remember me and a bodyguard going, my security, and I call him bodyguard, but my dad had a strip club and he had a host of security. Okay. And at any time I hired them to be with me for money pickups and things that I was doing in my business. So I'd hire them for my talent shows. I'd hire them for my concerts, all of that. So I always had muscle around, right? We go around, me and Demetrius, to 9 Broadcast Plaza. Before you know it, I'm in the green room with Sister Souljah, Dougie Fresh, William Kunstler, the lawyer, and the family, one of the families of the deceased. And I don't know what they're going to ask me or whatever, but I go on stage and then they ask questions. They're firing questions at me, just like, if you're on Oprah, like, you say what, doing that. And again, I wasn't on no F Puffy campaign, nothing like that. It was just like I was answering questions. Anyway, that made me into his enemy. And why I know that is because number one, at 9 Broadcast, they also had the Puffsters in the audience. And so that strategically they had set the yin and the yang in the same building. And I specifically, no, I didn't say specifically, I don't specifically saw Misa Hilton there. And Misa is her son's father, her son's mom. And she came up and approached me afterwards, my bodyguard there. And she's like, I can't. She's in my face, like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about, and da 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 da. She's young, what it is, whatever. Now she's a big friend of Mary J. Blige and does, Misa stuff. So no hatred or hard feelings to her. I'm just giving the story as it was. Anyway, I go home and I get a phone call from my buddy that owns the nightclubs in New York City. And by the way, I skipped over something. Oh, I know I mentioned Andre Harrell introduced me to Puffy, right? It was in my friend's club, Steve Giuliano. He owned 5 clubs in New York. Bentley's was one of the most popular, and that's where Andre and I were at the bar, and he introduced me to Puffy. Anyway, so I go home, and Steve calls me. And Steve's like, what's going on, man? Because I'm getting calls. Like, he's getting calls. Like, he's my consigliere. He's a very good friend, and people just knew I was friends with him. And he was like, he taught me the game of clubs, of promotion, of all of that. And he bankrolled me on parties and events as well. So I guess they knew that we were together. I didn't know that they knew that, but they contacted him, and he said to me, he's like, you don't need to go on Good Morning America or nothing like that, man. You don't have nothing. What's the agenda? And I didn't. I wasn't selling nothing.
Right.
I didn't be coming out. I didn't have a T-shirt. I was just like, what am I doing? At the point, it was really. So I stopped. I think a year or two passed by, and I've seen Puff in other occasions. One was at Madison Square Garden. Jodeci was performing, and I was backstage, and Whitney Houston's back there, and Mary J. Blige, and all the names, right? I'm backstage, which is really the belly of Madison Square Garden. So it's a basement. And Puff comes up to me, and he puts his hand on the wall, while I'm standing here, and he says, man, whenever I see you, man, I want to take some, like, I want some kind of drug. I don't even remember what it was, but he was basically, I want to, like, that's the thing he did. I want to take some like some crack or whatever the hell he said. I don't remember the drug that he's talking about, but he said some sort of drug that he wanted to take. Like, it got him, like, I got him so much anger. Mm-hmm. That's how he had to, like, so this is what he said to me. And I just felt he was drunk or high. I also saw, like, we had a lot of people around. It's like, it wasn't about to be a fight. If it was, I was probably going to be on a losing end. He was popular by this point, dealing with the Jodeci, president of Uptown, all of these things, right? So, but again, I was in his projectile, even a year or so later. And so another occasion I saw him, I was at Pac and Biggie's live performance of Party and Bullshit. And I'm in the club, and I'm walking past him. He's walking past me. And I said, hey, Puff, what's up? Let's make bygones bygones. He brushed it off first and kept walking, but then he turned back around. He's like, hey, like that. I thought we were gonna fight, but no, he's like, no, we good, bro. And he gave me a hug and a buddy hug. It seemed sincere to me. And then there was another occasion that I'm coming out of Def Comedy Jam filming. And, I would always be there. They invited me. I'm in the audience. You could see me on YouTube now in some of those performances in the audience. And I come out, and he's got Justin on his shoulder, and he said, hey, say hi to Gilmore. And something was weird about that. It wasn't sincere. It was like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it was phony. Well, the very next time I saw him was the night of this, the book, the title of the book, The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me. We go to a commercial break.
No, and I don't want to spoil the story because I want people like, to get the book, but basically, the East Coast, West Coast beef is going on. And he displays like, the anger issues that he's kind of like known for, like when he sees you, do there's a long history of like, him like, putting his hand mostly on women,
Nowadays, because they're
yeah,
easy in theory.
right. Like, but like, he has a issue, like, I think like, of displaying anger and having anger issues. You could go back to the UCLA event, like, with his son, where I think he was arrested for. There's like, a long history of this. And like, like your story and stuff and everything, like, which is a story that I've never heard before, isn't unique in that regard, where, he's like, using violence as a way to kind of like, cope with situations.
Wow, you said a lot there. You did some research. I didn't even think about the UCLA thing, but how about all the other occasions that we don't know about? Because
Right.
you didn't know about me. How about all the other occasions? Not just local, but if you're doing this locally, what are you doing on a national scale? And then what are you doing on a global scale? What are you doing when you go international? Here's a man that was well known globally on magazine covers. He's P. Diddy, you know what is, and you
Right.
come up to me, coming up talking about, oh, his say hi to Justin, or, what is it? So that night when he did that with Justin, something wasn't right. It wasn't right. It wasn't sincere. And I felt like, oh my God, some like, some kind of rage inside of me, because the best way to get at an enemy is to get at them first. If you are any study of if you are any study of Sun Tzu and the, come on now. So I let, that was no problem. It died down. But this was, yes, you're right. The East Coast, West Coast bit was definitely a part of the equation. And I didn't, on this next night, I'll touch on. And but what also added to flame to the fire was that night I was going around picking up money. I had my security with me and an intern. We're driving, I'm driving my Isuzu Trooper. I'm an aggressive driver. And we're in Harlem, Bronx, stopping at different places, picking up money. And at one place we go to, there's a guy who's promoting Death Row East. He's actually giving out t-shirts. Hey, we're launching this Death Row East. Let's communicate, let's network. He's trying to do his thing. I'm like, sure, no problem. He gave me a t-shirt. Guess what? I'll wear it now. I am not part of this. Look, I am not part of that East Coast, West Coast thing. I was local. I was a local promoter, local club promoter, local concert promoter, local magazine publisher, local TV show host and producer and director. And nobody knew me on a global scale. I was just reaching 2 million homes in our local region. My stuff couldn't be seen in other states and countries. You know what I mean? So I wasn't popular like he was. And yet I was somehow the trigger that night. So I'm wearing a t-shirt. We finally go to this next club called Downtime, where Red Alert is playing. Very popular club. And at the time, especially with Red on the night that Red was there. And so we go in, and when we go in, we pass the line to get in the club. It was late, but there was a line of people to get in. I was, like I said, I had some name power locally, so they let me in all these clubs, no problem. We go in, I had some magazines with me. We're going, making rounds, giving pounds, probably an hour in there. Got a shout out on the loudspeaker. Anyway, we leave. When we leave, it's a party outside. It's a madhouse. Lots of people, cars, music, the whole nine. They can't get in clubs, so we gonna party outside, right? That's how we do, right? Uh, maybe then, maybe not now, because police presence heavy, right? But
Right.
whenever there's gatherings, but back then it was that's the way it was. We go across the street where I was parked, and I'm talking 20, 30 feet, not much from the club. We go across the street, and I get in the driver's seat. Lance gets in the passenger seat, and Rico gets in the back seat. Before I pull out, Puff pulls up beside the car, and he's in a sports coupe, a convertible. So the top is down, and he's being puffy. And he pulled up to Rico and he said, "What's up?" Rico said, "What's up?" Rico's a fan. You understand? He was a fan. He was more fan than he was my intern. And then he pulls up more. By the way, he was in the passenger seat and his security was driving. So they pull up a little more. And now that I'm saying this to you, I'm thinking how calculated that is, because what did the security know to pull the car up a little more, or did he do it because Puff told them? He think about that. He's in the passenger seat. Anyway, so they pull up a little more, and now Puff kind of looks around me, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" He's talking to Lance. Lance is in the passenger seat, and Lance said, "What's up?" Lance didn't even know who he was. And then he says to me, he's like, "What's up, bitch?" So that's how it started. And
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 you're a Marine, you know.
yeah. I'm fresh out, and I'm fresh out and hungry. That makes any sense. And I said, this is what I said though, Puff, keep your nonsense over there. I don't want no problems, man. Just you got issues. Like, I even knew he had issues. Nah, man, you a bitch. That's what he said. I look over at Lance, bro. Lance gave me that look. That look. What you gonna do? Pretty much. That's what his look said to me. And I basically said, look, if I'm a bitch, why don't we get out and you just show me I'm a bitch like that? But it felt like it ended there because they let me out of the parking space. In fact, he looked over at his man. He's like, all right. Like, he's like, that's what he said to me. Almost like he was getting permission from his guy. So he back up and I pull out and I'm going to the traffic light. And Lance said, "I think they following us." I thought it was over. I really did. Lance said they following us, and we got the light, then we made a left turn, and we went to, and now we're in front of Herald Square. Herald Square is where Macy's Day Parade stops and does a big production, and then they keep moving forward. So it's like towards, I think, towards Central Park, I think so. But the point is that that's where this happened. His car pulled up in front of ours, cut us off. We pull up on an island, which is like 6 inches off the ground, but I'm in the Suzu Trooper stick shift. It's not a problem. These are horses. And honestly, jumped out the car. I guess it was going to be one-on-one fight. That's what my intention was. I was like, okay, it is what it is. I'm a hot-headed young black man who just got called a bitch. Let's just put it what it is. And Lance jumps out, his security jumps out. We don't even connect yet, and we hear gunshots. To me, I heard firecrackers. Lance says, "Gun, gun." And that's when we realized he had 4 or 5 cars deep. It wasn't just us. He had a crew. And what I call, excuse the Christian listeners out there, I call them dick suckers. You know what I mean? Because they wolves. They basically do what Puff says,
right,
or follow Puff, or and all of them are coming out in the press today. So these are them. And so I immediately jumped back in the car, to the truck. Lance is in, Rico's laying on the back floor. We just like going down one-way streets and we're being chased. Eventually, I remember there was one point we were on 2 wheels, weaving in and out of traffic. like, what the fuck is going on here? This went from 0 to 60, like super, super duper quick. Not even thinking like what happens when they catch us. I was just like, I'm not getting caught. And so we eventually ran a light and there was oncoming traffic and we lost them. And just talking about it, just, remembering that like some people do this every day. Now, I
Yeah.
don't. So maybe this isn't traumatic for the next person. Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps, but we didn't do driving maneuvers, and we didn't do like, okay, let's see how you handle getting shot at, or we didn't do that. It's just so being attacked is, I think everything is subjective to what the person or the individual has had access to. If you watch a lot of movies, probably that's not a big deal to you. I watch a lot of movies and it's still a big deal to me. I
Right.
lost sleep. I wanted revenge. I was in a mindset of of anybody who felt attacked. I didn't go to the police. I wasn't that guy. You know, I was the guy that, okay, let's start in the street, let's handle in the street. And thank God it didn't. As extreme as it got is Lance. Lance is the last interview that I just did minutes ago. We what I did was I randomly put Lance on the phone. He's at some event right now, but he does security, but he got on the phone and he took it from the point where Puff called me a bitch, and he just Lance is angrier than me. Lance was just doing security. He was just hanging out with me. He didn't ask for this shit. His future wasn't to be a world-renowned novelist or movie producer, any of this shit I'm in. He almost lost his life. He really feels like I almost died that night. That's how Lance feels to this day.
Do you think like he was angry because of the interviews that you had done, or like because you were wearing the Death Row East shirt? Like what
Puffy?
yeah.
No, I think Puffy was mad for the accumulative of all of them. But the Death Row East shirt definitely, I believe, was a trigger. I don't think he was following me that night. I think that he was out there with the partiers, and he was in his car, chilling. He was, nigga, he down with Suge Knight. That's immediately what I see. And it was a trigger that caused him to do his mayhem. And just thank God I made it out alive and unharmed, and no stitches and no broken bones and no calamity. This is what I wrote about. You know what I mean? In the night Puff tried to kill me. And I really do feel my life was at risk. We know now that he has put other lives at risk. So I definitely was in it, going to be in that number. So when the Saints come marching in,
It seems like a dark cloud has followed him for like, his whole career, there's such thing as the bad boy curse. Do you,
Ooh.
like a lot of the artists like on Bad Boy, like I, like, Biggie, like, his contract that he had, he wasn't getting paid fairly. He pretty much like, was broke at the time of his death, pretty much,
This is a different conversation. Look, this is interesting because his energy is definitely controlling. We've seen it on Making of the Band, how he's condescending and Marine Corps-ish towards people. You weren't in the Marine Corps, right? But I get it. I get that, but how many of those people from Making of the Band made it? And because of his ways, like if his aggressive behavior or his aggressive way of talking to people was supposed to toughen you and make you more prepared for life as it relates to entertainment, did it work? And then also, we've seen this on video. He was on stage with Tip, and somebody right there at the stage had a different liquor, and he's barking at them, his whole aggression, like, his old bad boy shit, the same aggressive behavior we saw him coming out of the studio and the Making of the Band, was on the sidewalk, and he's like, nah, walk your ass to Junior's in Brooklyn. Walk your ass to Junior. You know, if
When
you
he
can't.
was about to fight the actor from Power, like when he was dressed as the Joker, you know.
I
On
have to look
Halloween.
that up. I didn't know about that, but
Yeah,
that
it was like he was dressed as the Joker, and he was like, threatening to fight the actor from Power. Yeah,
so you know, these are the things that we do know about, but how many things don't we know about? Like, I'm just learning about these women. I didn't even know he had a, I'm like, hand to God, I didn't know he had a relationship with Cassie. I really didn't
really.
know.
Yeah,
But clearly that was going on. But now I'm learning not only that he was in a relationship with her, but there was stuff going on behind the scenes.
right.
Deeper, when you see her on the floor, not on the bed, on the floor, covering herself with a blanket, basically leave me alone. It's on my Instagram. And he's chastising her with camera, putting her alive. Oh, everybody, he's doing his shit. He's doing the same shit, but towards women now, because they're easier, because they're soft, feminine. We manipulate women, and I'm not just talking about him. Men manipulate women, and it's not right. Patriarchal behaviors, instead of sharing and a give take, is a lot of times is take take take, and that's why a lot of women end up homeless with the child. I watch this all the time, where the woman is put out with all her belongings. She has got nowhere to go because she believed in this, whatever this was. And because he didn't get his way, or he's an ass, or he's egotistical, she doesn't want any more of it, but she doesn't have the resources, right, to say no. It's so convenient over here because he made it all glossy that it's hard for her to walk away. So I get it. I 100% get it with him attacking women. They are the least means of a resistance. The next means is children.
Man, Relentless Aaron, powerful. When will the book be out?
It's out now.
Okay.
It's called right now it's the ebook, right? It's called The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me. But man, I thought I was living trauma. This book for me was the business card that had me meet Natania Ebony Griffin. That's the woman that Puffy shot in the face
Right.
and had Johnny Cochran to get him off, and all other resources to get him out of that situation, because he was going away for a minute. He shot her in the face. She said it. It's in the.
Oh, she said Diddy actually shot her.
It's in the court transcripts.
Wow.
And it's not even from her mouth. It's from the surgeon that was at the hospital when she arrived. She kept saying, Puffy shot me in the face. Puffy shot me in the face.
She was saying that he actually shot her in the face. And how did Shine end up going to jail though
Right. That's the whole point. Who had the gun? And there were two guns, or there were multiple guns. It wasn't just two, and one of them went missing. And I can only speculate what happened, but she was shot in the face, and she saw him shoot her in the face, and he paid her off, or he paid people to make it go away. But you can't make what she went through go away. In fact, we have a contract now. I'm writing her book, and her book is called Surviving Diddy. And that should be out on the 28th. That's the anniversary of the shooting this month.
That's powerful. Yeah. Man, love you. If you could connect me with her, I'd love to speak with her. Yeah,
I will. Because she, it's her time. Some people would ask, like, why now?
Yeah.
And it's clear why now. It's
right.
It's like calling. It's like the universe is saying, okay, you're first of all, you're okay because you're amongst the group of people that are speaking out. Number two, people are wanting to hear now.
Right. I think more so willing to listen, because I think we have this thing in culture where if it's a celebrity that people like, they're predisposed to attack, like, someone who says something like, that the celebrity did that was wrong. Like, they don't want to believe, like, celebrities are capable of, like, making wrong decisions, or especially doing horrible things. And I actually seen her be attacked, and, like, when she had Instagram, it's like, she had posted, and people were like, oh.
In fact, people, when she went to the hospital, the nurse saw her on the TV. Oh, you were there? Hey, what happened to J-Lo? The nurse who's supposed to be caring for this woman, the woman is holding bloody napkins to her face. That's all that she's in pain. No, she's got bullet in her face. And the nurse wants to know about J-Lo. It tells you the state of mind, not just on critical levels or on fanatic levels, but on critical levels. Like, this is critical. And you, instead of helping this woman, you're talking about fucking actress. The newspaper says, it's the newspaper article from that day of the shooting, basically saying that her nightmare with J-Lo's picture on the cover of the newspaper, the Daily News, right? J-Lo didn't have the nightmare. Ebony had the nightmare. Ebony got shot in the face. J-Lo didn't have no fucking nightmare. She does this on the movie set. Yeah, you got arrested, probably never got arrested before. You're a big time actress, A-list. I get it. Oh, that still don't compare to getting shot in the face, no matter how you slice it. But what you said means a lot, because today we can see what isn't and is okay. And we know that bullying, what he did to me, bullying is not okay. We also know that just because you're a celebrity, that doesn't hold you, free and clear of what you did to somebody that's harming them for life. This woman was shot in her nose. Thank God it wasn't an inch and a half higher. And because of that, she has problems breathing and sleeping. However, 20 years later. So, I mean, it's like there's a lot to this. So I'm part of an allegiance now that wants justice, maybe redemption, maybe satisfaction. For me, I needed to get this shit off my shoulders. For me, writing this memoir, tell all, got it off my shoulders. I feel whole now. And for me, the time is right. From my perspective, from his perspective, because everybody is telling their story, but from my perspective, because I'm good now. I'm excellent. I'm secure. I'm not worried about being attacked.
Right.
I'm not, I don't have any financial issues. I'm good. Like, I've never been this good in my life. The time is right. I also created this cover 2 years ago. It's on my IG. If you go down my timeline to, I think it's May in 2021, during COVID, I did this. And I've also I've made comments on his IG.
Has he ever responded?
I don't think he would. 50 million people.
Right.
I don't think he sees it. I sent him a video, direct message. Look, bro, all I want is an apology. That's all I want. I don't need no money. I'm good. I wasn't good 2 years ago, but I'm very good now. But I'm like, I just wanted an apology. I don't expect him to do that. He's bigger than, you know what I'm saying? He's bigger than an apology, clearly. Because you gonna solve these issues with these women somehow, whether it's financial or otherwise. You're gonna solve with these women because they're not playing. And we know that when you said bad boy for life, you meant that, bro. This is who you have been always, clearly from a child. We don't even know what issue. Your mama's not going to tell the truth. She's not going to tell the truth. She was standing by you cheering when you got off in court with Johnny Cochran. She's not going to tell the truth. She stand by her baby. But we know you probably had behavior issues when you were a child, and you never outgrew them. You never outgrew those behavior issues. And that's a mental thing that we need to look at. And we need to know that bullying is not okay. We need to know that using your influence and your power and your money to bully is not okay. Thinking you're above the law and you could pay off everybody to get off is not okay. You've been the Teflon Don all this time, but guess what? Even they took down the Teflon Don. So you go ahead and keep doing what you do. You're gonna keep getting what you deserve.
Yeah.
Keefy
D claims that
I know.
he gave, like, he paid him. He was like, it was a murder for hire. That, like, that's the reason that Tupac Shakur was killed. Do you think, like, Diddy is capable of that?
I 100%. He was. I think Puff was living a movie. He was living a movie. He still is living a movie.
This is a little bit. This is a little bit more, like, because, and I base this on quotes. Like, Gene Deal made this quote where
recent.
It's fairly recent, where he was saying the quote. Well, first it was the quote by Suge Knight: "If you solve one murder, you solve both." And if they're saying, like, Diddy, like, gave the money for the murder of Tupac, is it possible that he also paid someone to kill Biggie as well?
Oh, I don't think that. I don't think he benefits from killing Biggie. I don't think he benefits.
The quote that Gene Deal says, though, is like, "I don't care if Big has to die. I don't care if Pac has to die, and Suge Knight has to go to jail." That's the quote that Gene Deal said. That's why he said that, like, somebody had told him that,
I just don't. That means great conspiracy theory, but I don't see him unless Biggie and him were breaking up. I don't really see.
Well, Biggie was leaving Bad Boy. He was like, and also he was like, like trying to, like, putting his publishing in his daughter's name, which, like, Diddy, like, felt like, he was stealing from him.
Oh, wow. So it gets deeper. We don't know.
Right.
So I guess we have to wait and see. But it's real obvious to me that there's a trend been going on, and it all. That's the book. It's called Bad Boy. That's the book, because but nobody's gonna get all the details, which would be his mama telling the truth, which would be friends of his telling the truth when he was a kid. There would have to be some truth there to bring this all to pass, to tell you that this, okay, yeah, he's a menace. Hey, it is what it is. Like, look at what's his name, the white guy that was in jail for all his life, Charles Manson.
Right.
I mean, I personally never saw him do anything, but the way he talks, it's like, oh my God, this dude is nuts.
Right.
Look at Jeffrey Dahmer. This motherfucker was eating people. That shit is fucking weird, bro. Just to taste the flesh, that's weird to me. So, like, there's some really weird people out there and there's also and then what about people with money that have been weird? Look, I got my theories about Michael Jackson. That's just me. And I don't want to bring that in, but hey, there's documentaries out there. What can I tell you?
Do you think there's, like, a satanic element to it because, like, of Clive Davis? I know time's running out, but
I think money empowers people and makes them more of what they already are. That's all. It's not that deep. Money makes people more of what they already are. Jay and Beyonce, their minds are in great places. Jay has been saved from the area he was in. It's just as well that he was separated from Dame and all of those folks, and he's doing his own thing. Their mind whole. Their
Right.
their lives are whole. We're seeing that play itself out, and it's embarrassing, to be honest with you, to people like, well, I think Will and Jada are going to do fine, but it's embarrassing to people like Puffy to see this is what it's supposed to be, and I'll never, ever be able to get to that place like they have. You know what I mean? He can never now, especially with all these allegations. It's messy. It's messy.
Do you think his career is over, like in the entertainment industry? Like,
This is what I'm going to tell you, Puffy. I have no hatred towards you. Like I said, all I wanted was an apology. But as an advisor, because you my son, I was in this game before you came in the game. As an advisor, I would advise you to get hold of all the people you did wrong to and make amends with them. First of all, you got the money. Second of all, you have the freedom right now. And third of all, you need the heart. You need to put your ego aside. You need the heart. Talk to Ebony, because you shot her in the face.
right.
We can't change that. But Ebony is starting a commission called SHOT, and she's helping victims of gunshot violence.
Wow.
You were part of that. You can do good with your life by making amends with these people. Look what Will Smith did with Janet Dubois. They actually had to sit down and put it on TV, and she told him, "You ruined my life." And somehow she's whole again. I don't know that you can give time back. I don't know if you can fix Ebony's breathing situation. I don't know what else you did in the world. What Cassie, clearly you straighten that out, but Misa now wants some money. I mean, I don't need no money. I'm just like, like I said, I just wanted an apology, but he couldn't have done 100 people wrong, maybe, or 200. But even if you did 200 wrong, look at the numbers. Right now, I think if the numbers are right, look right on all the media, you got some money. Go ahead and take some of that money and fix these situations and be whole. Because Jimmy Swaggart, oh, I have sin. I mean, people are able to bounce back.
Yeah.
But don't play cock Diddy. Don't do that, because this is not the time. People want revenge. Misa looked like she out for blood. She doing interviews and shit, talking about like she's using Justin or using their child as the reason, but she's not happy with Cassie getting north of 10 million, south of 30. She's definitely not happy with that. She feels that she's way more invested. And there's other women, more than likely, that feel they're way more invested in Puff than what Cassie went through.
Right.
So especially the girl saying she's gang raped. I mean, it gets crazy.
Yeah.
I totally believe them. I 100% believe them because of his track record. It goes hand in hand. Everything that they're saying goes hand in hand with the other. Menace to society.
Relentless Aaron, man. The night Puff tried to kill me. Available now. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Oh yeah, and on the 28th we're dropping Surviving Diddy. That's the next book.
Okay.
Oh wow, man. Yeah, thanks for the interview.
You're welcome, man. I appreciate you.
All right, you got it. Oh, they can get the book on my website, which is relentlessaaron.net. They could also go to my Instagram. In my Instagram bio, the link is at the top. They can go to Facebook. They can
What's your IG? What's your handle?
IG is Relentless Aaron. I'm Relentless Aaron everywhere, even Pinterest. So even LinkedIn. I'm telling you, you can't miss it. It's an ebook. It's a little north of 50 pages. You're going to read it in a couple of hours. It's a story that is worth the time and effort to read. It's powerful, powerful book. And then again, the 28th, we drop Surviving Diddy. And 50 Cent, I'm one of his writers.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that turns into a documentary. I think he's just teasing right now, but we'll see if that turns into a documentary.
For sure. Relentless
All
Aaron.
right, man.
So much, man.
God bless.
You too.